Hello everyone, welcome to a new reading. So someone on Patreon asked me if I could do a reading for Taemin, focusing on his career now that he's in his new company, doing some fan meets here and there, and like doing his solo stuff. And I was like, sure, why not? So here we are. I have done a reading for Taemin not so long ago. Well, not so long ago is relative, right? We all have different ways of seeing time, but what I mean is I have done a reading for when, like the moment I knew that he left SM and entered Big Planet, I was like, okay, I want to figure out how he's going to be doing in his new company. So I have done a video for that, and I will edit it so you guys know what I'm talking about. But I love Taemin so much that I don't mind doing another reading for him, just figuring out how his career is doing. So I have done something like this where, you know how in my individual readings I check 4 different sections, which is like their current energy, their career, their love life, and their healing messages. Well, one of the things I do in Patreon is that I have this thing where people can claim a reading, and in it they can choose one of those areas. So I'm going to do what I do for someone who were to pick a career reading. So let's get into it. So first of all, what is Taemin's current energy? How is he doing right now? I have done something like this. I think I did it for SHINee in case you were wondering how that would look like. So we have the Knight of Wands upright. We have the Four of Pentacles reversed. And that's actually not that bad. How is Taemin doing right now? What is his current energy? We have the Ace of Swords reverse and the Page of Cups reverse. So with the Knight of Wands, we have immaturity. Now the reason why that's there is because when you look at court cards, you can see it as like a person that is like growing up. You can see it as the pages is baby energy, meaning that the person is very inexperienced and they have this like new glow of life, a lot of curiosity, but there's a lot of immaturity in the sense of like there's not a lot of experience within whatever field they're focusing on and working on. Now when you have a knight, we're talking about someone that is like a teenager or a young adult, if you want to put it that way. So they're further into the journey, they're a bit more experienced, and they're more in the action orientated type of vibe where they're just getting things done. Now when we talk about queens, then we talk about someone that is an adult, and here we're referring to someone that is a bit more stable and is a bit more familiar with the area that they're focusing on, and they have a set belief. Like they, usually queens are describing fifth sign, so this is someone that has already established their ideas and their thoughts about something. And then when we reach a king in court cards, it's supposed to usually describe an old man or like an old person, and it's supposed to describe someone that is quite mature or someone that is well informed and someone that is very knowledgeable within whatever area the court cards were describing. So in this case for Taemin, this Knight of Wands is Sagittarius energy, and it's supposed to describe how right now he's just taking action, he's getting things done, he's going with the flow, because Knights is usually talking about the mutable signs in astrology, and Wands talks about fire, so that's why we're talking about Sagittarius here. This kind of shows that he is just, if someone is putting a challenge for him, he's just going bet. And he's going forward, he's getting things done. He's not hesitating in any way, shape, or form. And usually the fastest moving knight in tarot is the Knight of Swords. The second one following that is the Knight of Wands. So he's going very quickly, but he is not being reckless. He is filled with passion. He's filled with this desire to just learn and experience. Also, when we talk about Sagittarius, that automatically makes me think of someone that is traveling or someone that is entering foreign lands. So that makes me think that Taemin is being very welcoming to just entering and venturing into the unknown and just experiencing a lot of new things in his life. He's doing a lot of things that he has never done before, or if he has done these things before, the process is slightly different, so he is kind of just going with the flow and just enjoying the present moment, as well as just learning from the journey. And if I remember from his Big Planet thing, that was one of the main things that he was focusing on, this whole idea of becoming a bit more familiarizing himself with his staff and the people that he will be working with, as well as gaining this knowledge about what materials, tools, and networks or connections he had at his disposal now that he was in a different company. So I do feel that now that he has become a bit more familiar with that area of his life, he is now taking full advantage and just going full force and just getting things done. So he has left the planning stages and now he's more of just taking action, getting things done. And I do feel that if there's ever an obstacle or a challenge that he encounters, he just bulldozes his way through. Like, he just continues moving forward instead of hesitating or feeling overwhelmed by any obstacle he may encounter currently. Now, with the Four of Pentacles reversed, I think this is a very good card to have, because to me the Four of Pentacles usually describes someone that is in a stagnant energy because they're holding very tightly to their material possessions. It could be their money, it could be a position in their career, it could be something that is just holding them back from running wild, from running free. Now, one of the positive things about having the Four of Coins upright is talking about someone that's maybe saving money, or someone that is holding tightly onto something they really treasure. But with this card in reverse, it does have the keyword control. It makes me think that right now Taemin is not being too strict with himself, or is not being too strict with the process of how to get something done in his life, or how to complete a project. And because of that, it has allowed him a lot of freedom. It has allowed him to not feel overwhelmed or burdened, or to feel stagnant. And instead, he has felt very carefree, very free. He has felt like he can overcome anything. The unnecessary pressure and burdens are off his shoulders, so he's able to be very genuine, very spontaneous, very sincere with himself, and just going with the flow in a very lighthearted way. The Four of Coins, or the Four of Pentacles reversed, is actually very positive, because this just shows that he's not being I'm getting super obsessed with the tiny details, as in, like, he's not being a perfectionist, and that has allowed him to just be in the moment. There is also this sense of, like, he's not super overwhelmed with the idea of, like, everything has to be done a certain way, or everything has to be perfect, and that has allowed him to just continue working or moving forward with a light-hearted energy. So it's not super overwhelming, it's not super burdening. He's able to just get things done and be in a more joyous vibe. Now, the Ace of Swords reversed tells me that he still hasn't found, like, the right channel of communication. And what I mean by this here is that I don't know if Taemin is a very private person or if he's very introverted, but if he is, this could explain why the Ace of Swords is reversed. I'm getting two things. One, he's finding it very difficult to communicate with other people because he feels like he's not super close to these people. And I still think this is in relation to his staff because of the previous reading that we had for how Taemin feels with Big Planet. Also he's a Cancer sun, so it will take a while for him to, like, open up to new people. Cancers tend to be quite private, and many of them tend to be very guarded, since many of them are very in tune with their heart, and they're very sensitive and very sensible was the word that came up. Many of them tend to be very guarded or have very thick walls around their heart because they don't like people. They don't want anyone to hurt them, right? So I do feel that Taemin is in that position as well, where he wants to be comfortable, he wants to get along with people, but he finds it very difficult to communicate and, like, be vulnerable and communicate with other people. And since that's a bit harder for him, it's harder for him to reach that point. I do feel that he doesn't feel super connected to his staff. So even though he can have, like, a casual relationship and, like, small talk and just business-like conversations, I do feel that he wishes he could have a closer relationship with everyone and have, like, a close-knit circle in his network, so like that not only does he feel more comfortable, but he can come to an easier form of understanding with people. So I think he just hasn't really figured out the right form of communication to be able to, like, speak up. When we say speak up, I do feel that a lot of people just assume if you're not happy or you're not comfortable, you're able to stand up for yourself. In this case, I don't necessarily mean that for Taemin. I mean more along the lines of like being able to just express himself clearly and make himself understood. So when they're working in business or something, if there's an idea or some sort of inspiration that he can't fully translate into something tangible for a project when it comes to work, then I do feel that he wishes he could have such a stronger or a bit more of a solid relationship with his staff, so like that they kind of just know what it is that he's talking about, instead of him having to get like all the words and all the visuals to be able to express himself clearly and being understood. So this Ace of Swords reverse just tells me that he hasn't found like the right form of communication. But again, it's not because people don't get along as much as it's like people are still trying to find their footing and becoming like this well-oiled working machine, right? Like everyone is still figuring out what they're best at. Everyone's still trying to figure out like where they fit in this piece of creating art, something along those lines. Lastly, with this Page of Cups, reverse, we have loyalty. There's this sense where right now he still doesn't really trust his team. Now, the reason why he doesn't trust them is not because his people are not trustworthy, it's because he hasn't been able to see them beyond business partners or beyond this is just work. Again, it's kind of difficult for him to create like a heart-to-heart connection with people and for him to feel comfortable. So I do feel that in order for him to be able to express his creative ideas for his work, he needs a space or he needs a group of people that he feels comfortable with. And since he hasn't reached that point with this new company, he doesn't, because the Page of Cups is supposed to talk about someone that is very creative, someone that is inspired, someone that is like a dreamer, or someone that's able to like visualize whatever it is they want. And in that case, someone that is constantly inspired. So I do feel, because usually in the Page of Cups you see this guy, this young man that's looking at this cup and a fish is jumping out of it, and that is supposed to talk about someone that has a big imagination. So this Page of Cups reverse tells me that Taemin doesn't feel very comfortable talking about his ideas with these people. One, because he doesn't really know how to communicate this to them, and two, because he doesn't feel super comfortable. Like, these people are not family yet. These people are not like an intimate group of people that he feels close with to talk about this. So I do feel that even when it comes to business, he needs a small, well, maybe not a small, but a close group of people that he can work with, that he feels like, oh, I can rely on them because they know what they're doing, they're skilled at what they're doing, and they're knowledgeable in what they know. They're knowledgeable in the skills that they're good at. And because of that, it's easier for him to figure out, like, oh, I know you're a good illustrator. Please illustrate this concept that I have in mind. Or, oh, you're a very good songwriter. So, like, this is a genre that you're working in. This is what I want to work on. So you're like perfect for the job. That's kind of what I'm getting at. So I don't think Taemin has really found that quite yet. So he still is working on that. So even if this close group of people that he wants for his job is not necessarily people that he will have as close friends or he will have as like that will know like his heart inside out, he just needs these people to be close enough to him that he feels comfortable expressing his raw creative ideas when it comes to work. That's like the main thing. Okay, so now that we have gotten his current energy, let's jump into his career. So what is going on with his career? We have Mosaic with let chance play its creative role in your life. What's going on with his career? We have Phenomenon with be still and listen to the spirits. Is there a K-pop group that has a song called Phenomenon? Because it kind of came to mind, but I don't know who has a song like that. And we have Samadhi, maybe, with perfect acceptance. And let's take out 2 more tarot cards to describe Taemin's career. So what's going on with Taemin's career? We have the Queen. I want to say the Queen of Perfect. The Queen of Pentacles reversed with stability. And one more card for his career. And we have the Queen of Cups reversed with empathy. A lot of feminine energy. I'll be completely honest. Taemin is able, to me, he has always been very good at having like this androgynous vibe or energy to his concepts, because he's quite in tune with his feminine energy. One of the things that helps him, and also one of the things that's very hard, especially for Cancer men, is to be in tune with their emotional. Because, okay, here. Let's get into astrology for a little bit. Cancer is ruled by the moon. That is, and the moon is supposed to kind of like represent this very motherly energy. It's super feminine, it's connected to emotions, also to spirituality and to the subconscious mind. So, and also in astrology, the moon usually represents the mother. So, it's a lot of feminine energy. So, all I'm saying is like, someone that is a sun in Cancer may struggle a little bit because, you know, the sun is not super comfortable in Cancer. But for Cancer man, it's very hard to express the feminine and emotional aspect of Cancer because of the world that we live in. You know, a world and a society that is not super welcoming to the feminine energy, and is not super welcoming to the emotional aspect of society, or of people, of human nature, if you will. So all I'm saying is that Taemin being able to kind of embrace this feminine energy, this vibe, and being able to embrace his emotions makes it for him to actually have a very neutral energy and this androgynous vibe when he's performing. That's all I'm saying. Now, I'm saying the reason why I'm bringing that up is that he got two queens. He got the Queen of Pentacles and the Queen of Cups. Also, earth and water are energies that are usually connected to a feminine energy when we're talking about astrology. Swords and wands, which are connected to air and fire, are usually connected to the masculine energy. Just letting you know. So for Taemin, his career, with the mosaic, it makes me think about fragmented pieces, and there's two things that I'm thinking of. Fragmented pieces in his inspiration or his creativity just makes me think that he hasn't, currently for his career, he is still working on bringing his inspiration into something tangible and then connecting all of those pieces to create a coherent story. So this makes me think that he could be working on a comeback. Now, the other thing that I was thinking with this mosaic card, where let chance play its creative role in your life, is that right now he's finding it's easier, especially because it's between the Knight of Wands and the Four of Pentacles reversed. He is trying to get rid of this habit of doing everything on his own. And one of the reasons why I'm saying that he's doing everything on his own is this whole idea of like, since he knew his team very well before, so the pieces in this case is like the people he's working with and the tools at his disposal. So before, he was so familiar with his group and the people that he was working with that it was very easy for him to say, you do this, you do that. We're going to work on this, we're going to work on that. Because everyone was kind of already in the same wavelength, if you want to put it that way. But now, he's in his career, he's reaching this point where he's allowing surprises to go through. He's kind of like, he's working with these new people and he's like, okay, show me, surprise me, show me the best that you can do. Do whatever you want to do and let's see where this takes us. So I do feel that right now he is being a bit more open-minded to allow people to do their own thing, go at their own pace, go at their own wavelength. And then he's like observing and checking just to see which pieces work together. And he may be going for a bit of a different sound, or he may be going for a bit of a different concept. So he's taking a bit of a risk. I think he's going to do well because Taemin is Taemin. So I do feel that he's not losing his essence as much as he's just going about a different method or a different way of portraying and showing like a new side of himself, but it's still him, right? So that's why I think it's going to still work, because he's not like doing a 180 and becoming a whole different person. He's doing more like of a 360 of like, it's still him, so he's still in the same spot, but the journey and the process to get where he's at will be slightly different. So he's bringing something new. That's what I'm getting at. Now, the other thing with a phenomenon, be still and listen to the spirits makes me think that one of the things that will benefit him the most during his career is to sit still and listen to his mind. It's like allowing creativity to just flow without any sort of like overthinking or any sort of baggage or worry that can get in the way of his creativity. It's like sometimes when we are very preoccupied with survival or with worries or other things in our life, it's kind of hard to filter or to separate or discern the logical side that is trying to survive and then the creative side that is just trying to express itself. So I do feel that right now, if he were to be a bit calmer and get a bit more in tune with his intuition or to the subconscious part of himself, it will be easier to connect with his heart or to connect to his emotions, which are like the main fuel to his creativity. So I do feel that in his career, he will benefit by being on his own for some time, or to be able to, in a way, meditate his ideas or meditate his whatever concept or whatever expression he wants to go with in his art. If we look at the imagery of the figure in this phenomenon card, we see like all of these branches coming out, or in a way taking root in like the crown area of this figure, and it makes me think of he has the skills, he has a foundation. So those branches is like he has a strong foundation, knowledge, skills to do something, but it hasn't bear fruit, or like there's no vegetation on these branches because his inspiration has not fed his creativity or something like that. It's like there's something within him that is not nurturing something else within him, that when they're in harmony, it allows him to actually create the art that he does. That's kind of what I'm getting at. So when he's a bit more at peace and he's able to calm his mind a bit more, he will be able to get a bit more in tune with that creative side of himself that he may feel like he's losing in his career. But again, it's not necessarily super bad. It's like if he wants to do something unique and something different, he needs to give it a lot of time and thought to kind of flow into his life and slowly, naturally manifest into his work, if you want to put it that way. Now, the other card that we have here with the Samadhi, or is it Samadhi? I don't know. It's perfect acceptance. This makes me think that there's this sense of like, those times when people create art, and sometimes the best pieces of art is when you create without judgment. And what I mean by that is like not judging yourself of, is it good enough? Is it not good enough? Or is it really expressing what I want it to express or not? Or like not holding back with this thoughts of like, will it work? Will it not work? Is it good enough? Is it not good enough? It's like just create with no judgment. That's what I'm getting with this perfect acceptance. Is like in his career, Taemin will do a lot better if he's not too hard on himself and if he's not thinking too much. So feeling more, doing more, and thinking less. Worrying less. I do feel that when he's worried about something, it gets in the way of his creativity, because then he becomes a bit too logical about this and too businesslike. So then it's kind of difficult to get in tune with the art part of things in his job. Because I think sometimes he's thinking of like, yes, I want to create this beautiful piece of art for the industry that I'm in, but also, well, this is my job, so I need to show that this project is, from the business aspect, successful. So I do feel that right now he's kind of juggling these two sides of himself, where it's like, I want to use this art as a creative sense of self-expression, but at the same time, this art that I'm working on is for my job, so I need to make sure that it's good for the numbers, it's good for the charts. So like that, from the business aspect, there is some sort of like, okay, we can trust him because his creative eye or his creative ideas brings money. Something along this line. Is like perfect acceptance just makes me think that since he's too busy trying to juggle the business aspect and the art aspect of things, he's not allowing himself to just freely, without judgment, create. So I do feel that he may be struggling with that a little bit. Now, the Queen of Cups and the Queen of Pentacles reversed tells me that there's something that is a bit out of balance within him when it comes to his career. Now, with the Queen of Pentacles reversed, it shows that he needs to internalize what the Queen of Pentacles usually talks about. Usually this energy is describing an individual. By the way, we have Taurus and Scorpio energy, which are like opposing signs. Opposite sign or sister signs, however you want to see it. But one of the things that he's struggling with right now is that he needs to internalize this idea of someone that is super abundant, someone that is stable in their career, and they're well off with their material possessions. That could be their finances, or that could be anything tangible. And because they're in such a good place, they're able to provide support and help people around them. So what I mean by that is that because the Queen of Pentacles is a very caring, loving, and kind energy. But they've been reversed. It just shows that instead of showing that kindness to other people, he should show that to himself a bit more. And he needs to be understanding with himself. He needs to be kind to himself. He needs to take care of his health, of his body, of his mind. And with the Queen of Cups, his heart as well. He needs to, if he gets lucky, or like if he's working in his work, so when he's working, instead of giving away all of the abundance that he gets, it's like internalize that abundance on himself. It's like, okay, if he has money, instead of spending it on other people so they're comfortable, it's like spending it on himself so he's comfortable. And when we talk about abundance, it's like if there's an opportunity, instead of giving that away to someone that he thinks may need it, it's like just using that for himself because he needs it. It's like right now he should prioritize and work on himself instead of other people. So that doesn't necessarily mean that he should be selfish, as much as it means that he should not sacrifice himself to provide a comfortable life or a comfortable space to somebody else. It's like he should do that when he is okay with himself. Yeah, he doesn't need to sacrifice himself to provide for others, basically. Now, with the Queen of Cups, with this card being reversed, we have the word empathy, but this card being reversed tells me that he needs to be loving and caring within himself as well. I think he's trying to be very understanding with the people that he's working with because he has never worked with them before. He knows that they don't really know what he expects from them and what he wants from them, right? So his team doesn't really know him inside out, and he's aware of that. However, with the empathy card, I do feel that one of the best ways that he can create a stable and healthy work environment is that just like he's been understanding with the staff that he's working with and the people that he's working with, he should be very understanding and sympathetic with himself as well. It's like he shouldn't be too hard on himself if things don't work out. He shouldn't be too hard on himself or like rush the process of getting along with these people, or rushing the process of having mutual understanding with these people. There is a sense with this empathy energy that not only should he be understanding of like the people that he's working with, and realize they're human, they make mistakes, or we have different opinions because we have different backgrounds. It's like instead of just having that mentality constantly, is that he should also apply that behavior with himself and prioritize himself in the sense of like, if he doesn't want to work with someone, he should be aware of that. Or if someone doesn't make him feel comfortable, he should be aware of that. Or if he can't push himself to just be open and genuine with the people he's working with, he should be understanding of that. It's like he doesn't need to rush the process of getting along. He doesn't need to rush the process of making things work. Those things will naturally happen with time and experience. It's like the experience of working together, the experience of going through a journey together. Those things just kind of come naturally with time. And I do feel that life is just telling him to not rush that process, because that's just creating unnecessary burdens and worries for him. It's like he doesn't have to go out of his comfort zone and just be like extremely outgoing and open and vulnerable to these people. If he's not comfortable with that energy, he doesn't have to. Over time, he will eventually be able to feel comfortable with his people and work with his people. I do feel that with Taemin, we get a lot of things about connections, networking, and emotions, because that right now that's like the biggest, or like the Bible is like the main thing that he's kind of struggling with working with when it comes to his career. I don't necessarily think he's in a toxic environment, and I don't think these people are bad or incompetent, as much as I think he's just not used to how these people work because they haven't worked together enough. So yeah, that's kind of like the main thing. Even though we see some of like some issues here and there, I don't feel they're too bad. I do feel that it's just a matter of time before things kind of get back in balance, and there's this harmonious work environment for him. I do feel that it will take a little bit more of getting to know each other before Taemin feels comfortable enough to just become a well-oiled machine and just like pump out work after work after work. I do feel that his creative is a bit stagnant because he still hasn't created a comfortable environment, but with time he will notice the strengths and weaknesses of all of this new energy. One of the things that I've noticed is that Cancer is not super comfortable with jumping into a new environment and like adjusting to it. Even though Cancer is a cardinal sign and many of them love to jump into the unknown and like try new things constantly, because it's a very, cardinal signs are always striving to take action towards something new. Cancer is not a mutable sign that is able to adapt with its environment and go with the flow. Cancer loves its comfortable space. So all of this new energy, all of these new people, and this new process of doing things is overwhelming for Taemin. But since he's a professional, it doesn't get in the way of his work and in his business. It just gets in the way of his creativity, and in this case of prioritizing his heart or his emotions. Like, he's going out of his comfort zone to create a harmonious environment, but he shouldn't feel too burdened about this. With time, things will kind of settle down. It's just that it's kind of like he didn't start from square one, but he may feel like that at the moment. Regardless, he's doing pretty well for himself, though. So yeah, I hope you guys like this reading. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope that the person that asked for this reading also watched it and that you enjoyed it as well. I will see you guys on the next one, whenever that is, however that is. Love and healing from my part to you. And once again, thank you for all the love and support you have shown me and the channel. So yeah,